Hi guys, I hope you had a wonderful day. It's Mac
And Blair.
and we just want to talk to you today about what it's been like for us as a family of 8, although we didn't start out as 8, but as a family of 8 living here in the UK for 4 years. And those who don't know the backstory, moved over in 2020. We got jobs over here and we came in at the end of the pandemic, walked into a lockdown, had to stay in our home for 2 weeks, and coming out of that experience, first off started out in Peterborough, and then we've moved around a little bit and we've been here for 4 years. We want to talk about it. Quickly though, what is your initial quick take 4 years in the UK?
4 years in the UK. I can't believe it's been that long already. It doesn't seem like it's been 4 years, but it has been 4 years. Every time I look at a calendar, I can clearly see it's been 4 years. So that's just pretty impressive, I think, to 4 years anywhere, like away from what you call home. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. We've been here so long that we have had things that we've forgotten that we used to like. Like, you have stores that you like to go to, and then you have places that you like to eat, and you're like, oh, we used to like that place. We've been here for our likes and dislikes to have shifted and changed in the amount of time that we've been here. I would say for me, it has been, quick in some ways. That time has just really shot by, but at the same time, really kind of long. And we'll cover at the end of this video whether we think it's been worth it to have stayed here for 4 years. I will tell you quickly, initially, I'm not going to say. We're going to save it to the end. Watch it in the video and we'll go into that part of it. But I want to start out by covering the good. So I'm going to break this up into a couple of sections. We're going to have the good, the bad, and you can guess what the other may be. But let's start out with the good. What has been good about being here for 4 years? You go with the first one.
Sure. So the good so far, or what I really liked about being here during the last 4 years, was when I had the babies, my aftercare was great. I didn't have any complaints about it. I really loved being able to be at home and have the midwife come in and check on us and see how we were doing, see how the babies were gaining weight, see how I was doing after birth. And I didn't have any complaints about that. I love that element of not having to pack my babies up and take them out in the heat or the cold. Any extremes. I love not having to move them. If they were in the middle of a nap, they could still take their nap. If they were in the middle of a feed, it was still a feed. So I just really liked that. That was really something simple. And then as we've progressed with that, then it's also changed into you cannot beat diaper prices here. Like, it doesn't matter if you're using Aldi brand or Tesco brand or Pampers for that matter. The diapers are just really cheap. And I can say that having shopped at a lot of different stores and big box stores like Tesco and Costco, the diaper prices between Tesco and Costco, they're virtually the same. So
For here.
For here.
Not back to
Not
the
back
U.S.
in the
Not
States.
Costco in the U.S.
No.
Yeah, the diapers are more expensive.
Yes.
I agree with you going back to when you're talking about loading up the babies, because I remember when we first had Blakely as our oldest, we had to go back to the doctor. She was 3 days old, and we had to go back, and her weight was a little lower than they wanted it to be. And so they said, come back, and was it 2 days or 3?
It was 2 days.
In 2 days.
Monitoring, yeah.
So we had to take her back, pack her back up. It's our first child, 3 days old. Took her to the doctor. They said, come back in 2 days. 2 days later, and all we would do is go in, and then they would weigh her. That's all we were doing. But you had to get her packed up, get her bag to go, get everything ready, pack her up. And then 2 days later, they weighed her. Oh, it's on the right trajectory, but it's not quite there yet. Come back in 2 more days. So it was literally every 2 days. And again, that was our first child. It was a really stressful time because we're trying to adjust to all of that, and then to have to pack up. The doctor's office wasn't very close, maybe an hour away or so, across the city, but still we had to travel to go to the doctor's office, and to have it be here to where they came in home. Just the networking system, I think, is a little. I think it's a lot easier on you. It was a lot easier on me. We didn't have to pack the little ones up, and especially with us having the 2 of them, having the twins, I think that was really great. Of course, the good for me, one of them for me, would have to be the fact that we have British-born children. Our twins were born here in Westminster, right? Born in Westminster, and so they have Westminster birth certificates. They will never have a U.S. official, like U.S. birth certificate. They get something from the State Department that says like in lieu of, but their actual birth certificates are in Westminster. And I think that's really cool. It's just a nice little thing to have right there. Yeah.
Like it's a forever keepsake.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, we brought these with us. Well, we didn't bring them with us, but we'll take them with us whenever
when we go.
whenever we go. But the twins, and they've been born here and they've done really well here. So for me, one of the big things that I've enjoyed about living here is really kind of tied in with the babies is safety. I have felt safe, and I think that safety is such an important thing, especially for a family. As a parent, as a dad, you're always concerned about the safety of your family. And if you watch our channel, you look at our videos, you can see we have been here, there,
Yeah,
everywhere, all over these British Isles, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, even into Ireland. We've been all over the place in this little region, and I have never once can I say have I went anywhere and not felt safe. We have been driving along and, oh, there's a forest. Let's stop the car. How about go roaming through the forest? Driving along. What are they doing over there? Get out, go in. What are you guys doing over here? So we have engaged with people. If you watch, we've been to county shows. The last one we went to was in Perth,
Right.
Up in Scotland. And so we've just been around all over the place, and I've never felt unsafe. And it is a guy that's a family man, so to speak, and I'm traveling with my family. A lot of my travels are with my family. My children are very young. I have to be taking them to places where I feel safe. And I feel safe traveling across these British Isles and exploring. And that's, I guess, that would tie into, if I jump to the next one for me, is the destinations that you can get to and the differences in those destinations. Cornwall is very different from Wales, which is very different from Northern Ireland, which is very different from Scotland. In each one of those locations, just some of the locations we've been to, they have unique, diverse cultures, and you could have unique experiences. The geography is changing, the language shifts just a little bit. And so without traveling endless miles, or endless hours, you can have some very cool and different experiences. So that's definitely in the good category for me. Yeah?
Yeah.
You have another one?
Sure. I definitely like the ease of travel. Like that, I'll definitely miss that. I know, I'm just all about shopping and babies right now, y'all. So, again, on that front, I love shopping for baby clothes, just the ease of like, you can just go any and everywhere and just pick up like, oh, that's a really cute baby item. And it's not that expensive because in the States, baby clothes can be pretty expensive without trying too hard.
So you focus on baby clothes, but you could just talk about clothes in general, especially when we're talking about kids' clothes with the Disney licensed clothes. You can buy Disney licensed, something with a Disney tag on it here at a fairly reasonable price. I don't even notice necessarily even a markup of clothes above clothes that are not licensed, but you go try that in the U.S.
And we're saying Disney, but we mean anything that has like a trademark logo on it, like Marvel or Sonic or any of those things. In the States, you would pay almost 3 times as much just because it had Captain America on it.
Yeah, Disney, Captain America, anything that's trademarked, anything like that, it's going to cost you so much more in the U.S. And so I've been having fun decking the kids out in clothes that are really very reasonably priced. But I've been having fun decking the kids out in clothes that are really reasonably priced, but look really good. I mean, those clothes look great. They look awesome. They got the little Marvel characters all on them. And of course, kids love that kind of stuff. Yeah, they love that. So that's definitely in the good. So we say, so there's good in shopping. You know, I talked about travel. You talked about the babies. I also, going back to travel as far as driving, I love the fact, not that I've had flats, but I've had several flats. If you follow me on like social media, you'll see that on TikTok I talk about the flats. I think you brought a little bit over here into YouTube. But I have had flats on the vehicle. Sometimes where we're going to pick up kids. Sometimes we're driving down the road. Sometimes we're parked at home. And so I've had several flats. And through that, I've learned that there are companies that will come to wherever you are, replace the tire, not with a donut, but with the actual tire that's fitted for your vehicle, match the tire, balance the tire, and put the tire on your vehicle, and you're back on the road. And they will come to you. They'll come to your home. They'll come meet you on the side of the road. And I have not had that experience in the U.S. AAA will come tow you to some place in the U.S. Right. They will come pick you up and take you to a dealership that can do it for you. But to meet you where at the point of impact, so to speak, to meet you where the issue is, right, to come to your location and fix it right then and there, I love that. I love that's here. And it may be some in the U.S. I've never experienced it in the U.S., but I have experienced it here, and it's that I definitely would call. It makes me drive a little safer. I feel a little safer with driving, knowing that, hey, if I have a flat, we call some
Get it
guys.
fixed.
And get it fixed. You know, another one going back, similar to the shopping, is the fact that the taxes are already included. The VAT is already included in the price. So if something is 40 pounds on the shelf,
Right.
when you get to the register, it's still 40 pounds. Whereas in the U.S., if you know, people have complained about this for years. And as an American, we've gotten used to the fact of doing that little mental adjustment. If it's $49.99, you're going to pay about 52 or 51, 53 because the taxes are going to be at the register. It's not going to be the exact same price. Do you know exactly what it's going to be? No. Because it changes literally by county, by city, by state. So
What are you buying? Are
Yeah,
you
and-
buying food or versus electronics?
yeah, the taxes are different in all those different areas. So there's always a little variance and fluctuation on the pricing in the U.S. And once you get used to not having that variance, it is pretty cool to not have to deal with that.
Right.
You know, we could fix that in the U.S. It'd be really easy to just put the tax in, especially like you go to now, they have those digital, they show the price on those little digital readers.
Right.
They could show you the actual price with the tax in, but
They could.
they like to surprise in the U.S. The U.S. like to surprise you, right? Just, I didn't know that was coming. It's the surprise aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah. So, any other goods? I mean, there are a lot of other good things, but anything that comes to mind just kind of jumps out at you. Of course, the NHS. I had a pretty bad health situation a couple of years ago, and the NHS I absolutely credit with saving my life. So that is a healthcare system that has supported me, and I love supporting NHS. So NHS healthcare, yes, I love the NHS. I love what they can do and how they operate. So that's another really good one there. Anything else come to mind quickly?
Nothing off the top of my head quickly.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So let's get to the bad. We can't just stay on the good all the time. There's a lot of good. There's a lot more good we didn't list. There's more good than this. But let's get to the bad. And some of those things that we found not to be as exciting, entertaining, or enjoyable while we have lived here. And since I'm going down this road, let me go first. And I gave you the hint when I said the word road. Some of the narrow roads are difficult. And we're talking about those roads. You're driving along, the road's really narrow, and there's another car coming, and you're going to have to let that car pass you, right? You got to back up or pull over to the side if you can. And in some of those situations, I don't understand why the roads are so small. And you know, I get it. For the roads that have those high banks and their old cart path dating back, you know, couple hundred years or so, I can understand because those roads are kind of built in. You got those high walls around it, or the ground is high, but I'm talking about there's a field on this side, road, field on this side. There's plenty of space to have widen that road out just enough to where we're not having to do this car hopscotch. In those cases, I'm like, why don't we just widen the road?
right.
You could just widen the road, you know? If you had to pay the farmers for that little strip of land, to pay the farmers. Or, as they would do in the U.S., claim eminent domain. If you don't know what eminent domain, in the U.S., they can claim eminent domain along a right-of-way and pretty much anything that they want. Typically, they try to pay you instead of doing that, but they can claim eminent domain and just take your property. And I'm not recommending taking anyone's property. I say pay them, but widen the road out just enough so we're not having, because sometimes, you know, get over there, you're you're off the road.
Right.
You know, your tires are in the mud,
Or
potholes are.
there's potholes or there's just no road over there. So you run the risk of blowing a tire.
Yeah, it just sometimes seems a little unnecessary, or it's in a situation where it could be fixed. And I get it, it's historical, but yeah, that's one that
Yeah.
I deal with it, but yeah,
But we'll probably never get used to
not completely. Not completely. I would put that on the, and then, you know, we travel a lot. And so we've gone down some of these roads and we see them, we're on them. And those are kind of the ones I'm talking about. They're the motorways. I'm not talking about the motorways. I'm talking about those tiny little paths.
Right.
Yeah. And the speed limit is still like 60 miles an hour.
Yes. And then every now and then there's always a curve and you can't see
Around the curve. Yeah, yeah. So a certain amount of that I accept is part of the enjoyment of driving here. And I do enjoy driving here, but yeah, it's not all rainbows, Kittens and puppies. Kittens and puppies. Yeah. What do you have? Anything on the bad?
On the bad, since we talked about driving, and for me, it always goes to toilets and how can I use the bathroom again? Because I want to use the bathroom again.
Okay.
So I wish there were more rest stops with bathrooms.
Okay. I get what you're saying. So there are the services. If you're driving along the motorway, there are the services, right?
Yes.
But in general, I have never seen so many people weeing along the side of the road as I
Yes.
have seen here. Some people have the decency to kind of step off the road and kind of around the car or over towards the bush, and others simply. And you're driving along and you're like, wow, he has a strong stream. It just
Because you can see everything from the road. And you're just like, oh, that's what that's.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I've never seen that until we got here.
So we have a newfound appreciation of rest stop services.
Yeah, so there are the services here, but yeah, the rest stops. I understand what you're saying. I take that as just one of those cultural cultural things.
Yeah. And then, you didn't realize you missed something until you missed it.
Yeah, that's definitely one. You're right. I hadn't thought about that, but I've gotten used to. I've seen a lot more than I ever want to see. Whole families coming out the
Whole
bush.
families hopping over the fence.
It's like, whoa, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. You're right. That is definitely worth being in the bad category. We're gonna stick with driving. Let's stick with driving.
Okay.
Okay, let's stay with driving. And you're inside of a parking garage deck, right? You're driving, and you have to make that turn to go up to the next level. Why are those so narrow? Why do they make them so narrow? And I've been in so many of them in different cities all over England, all over the UK. We've been into parking decks, and you're going in, and you have to make that turn to go up. And it is so narrow. And I feel like I'm a Formula One driver, have to hit this curve, this corner just right to make sure I don't scrape on this end or scrape on it. And I'm not even talking about necessarily because the vehicle is large. It's just, it seems to me unnecessarily narrow
Yeah.
with the pillars right there.
And then sometimes they'll have the overhanging stuff will come down just right here.
Yeah.
But they didn't have to do that.
It's like, why do we
What's
build a
wrong?
puzzle trap inside of a parking deck?
Yes.
It just, that is another thing. And so I'm always cautious, especially the first time going into
New decks.
a new deck.
Yeah.
My favorite one in the country is Westfield. Is it Westfield, London?
Yes.
I love Westfield, London. That parking garage there, the deck is phenomenal. It's wide. It's plenty of space. You could just turn around, and you know what I mean. It's just plenty of space. It's not too low. And again, I get it's a major shopping center, but
Yeah.
more of it could be like that. That would be great. Hey, I'm accepting it the way it is, but this is the bad. I'm giving you the bad. So yeah, those just being very narrow in there. I've gotten used to the narrow parking spaces
Right.
on surface level.
Right.
I mean, most of those I can adjust to.
Right.
We've gotten really good at that, but inside those parking decks, you have to make those narrow turns. Those are rough.
Those are rough, especially because you can't see. You don't know what's coming around the corner, especially if you've never been there before.
Yeah, you don't know some of them are pretty rough. But we'll leave driving. What else is bad? What you say is bad? Is there anything else that you?
Sometimes I just really miss like good Mexican food.
So, we were around some Americans just a couple of days ago, and this guy said he went to a place and they served Mexican food, and he was excited about it. And they came out with the Mexican food, like the tacos or whatever burrito, whatever it was that he ordered, and they asked him, "Oh, we didn't bring the sauce out." And they said, "Would you like some salsa?" And he's like, "Yeah, bring me some salsa." He's excited. And they came back with the salsa, and he said they set it down, and there was a little container of ketchup.
That's not.
And if you don't get that, why that is not right, then
Just hurt my heart.
yeah. And I would just been like, just don't even bring it. Ketchup with a taco is something unholy that just should never. Those things don't go together at all.
No.
Mexico is really far from here. That's what I've always taken it as. Is there's a certain amount of Mexican, and look up front, we're not talking Taco Bell.
No.
Okay, so when you're talking Mexican food, Taco Bell does not make the cut. We're not talking Taco Bell, and to be honest with you, Chipotle barely makes the cut. But we're not even really talking
We're not
Chipotle. We're not talking fast food. We're talking actual Mexican restaurants that you could go into and sit down, and the food is phenomenal. It's thick, it's gooey, it's ooey, it's delicious, and it's on the other side of the world. And I get it. Mexico is really far from here.
It is.
And there are some people from that heritage who are here and may not cook the food. But they don't run many restaurants, I presume, because we've never run into a lot. I'm not saying there's no Mexican restaurants. I'm just saying there's not a lot.
Right.
There's not an abundance of it.
Right.
And I have yet to find one that I can say, this is top notch, right? I just kind of feel like I wish I could find a couple more that are better. At first, I was like barbecue. I was missing barbecue, but then you do a little bit of hunting.
Yeah, and we found a couple of really good spots.
Yeah, you can find some spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but was there something else you want to say about the Mexican food? Because that's my take on it.
Just that. I just wish there was some good, quick Mexican food. There's nope. I have to make a little bit at home. Whatever little bit I can make,
Yeah.
we do that instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that because we do miss those flavors, and I do enjoy. Every time I go back to the States, there's a couple of things that I always get, and we always go back to go find a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
If we can, the barbecue maybe, but we're always going to find Mexican food when we get back, just because this Mexican Tex-Mex it's in the culture. It's all through U.S. culture. It's there. Not everyone needs it, but for those of us who do, it is something that's really enjoyable. But it's regional. You have to get back to that part of the world. Like you mentioned before, like there's a lot of Turkish places here.
Right.
But Turkey's fairly close, right?
Right. So it makes sense why you can find so much Turkish food.
Yeah, it makes sense you could find it here. So those things are regional. We accept it, but it's in the bad category. I wish there was some other options, but we'll take it. To go all the way back to when we first got here and to talk about housing, I've accepted the fact that a lot of the faucets are hot and cold and not hot and cold together. Because you could technically get one that has hot and cold together.
Right.
I've kind of learned how to deal with that, but the lack of screens on the windows,
Yeah.
and I get it. Most of the windows here open out,
But
so
the
it's
flies don't care which way the window opens.
True.
Out, up.
The fact that you open a window, you're going to get bugs. Like every now and again, we would go upstairs, and especially the upstairs bedroom, and if we forget to turn off the light,
Yeah.
especially in the summer, right, and then you come back in the room and you didn't turn off the light in the summertime.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the room is just filled and
It's taken over.
it's just taken over with bugs. And that wouldn't happen in the U.S. because in the U.S., even if you leave the windows up, there's the screens, and those will block off everything except for the smallest.
The smallest of
The
small.
smallest of small. The screens block them. So I do miss that. That's something I wish. And like engineering wise, I guess I don't know if there's a really good fix for that, because I've heard people say, oh, you can put these things up. We never went about purchasing anything. You just get really good at learning
all the time.
how to, the time of year to leave the window open. And then there's this little crack. There is a crack that you can leave in the
There is
window.
that.
If you can get it just right, you can block out
90,
the
yeah.
90% of the bugs can't make it
Yeah.
through that crack, but there's still enough, a little bit of an airflow. So the little crack in the window is something I have perfected.
Yeah, we
while
perfected that one.
I perfected that while being here.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to the lack of airflow as far as central heating and air, right? Because most homes in the U.S. have central heating and air. All the homes we've ever lived in have central heating and air. I remember I got my dad added it in when we were kids, but our last home, so there's a lot of airflow. The last time I was back in the States, I kept getting cold in my mom's home because of the airflow. It's much more airflow. So you keep those windows cracked open here because you don't have that airflow the same way you do back in U.S. homes. I've gotten used to, I won't call that a bad anymore because I've gotten used to it.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have some fresh air come into the house from
Yeah.
outside. So
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that more going back.
My nephew definitely highlighted the lack of ice.
He did.
Is it bad? I remember he was very serious about that when he came over to visit. He's like, where's the ice? They bring me cups and there's no ice. So there's like one little cube of ice or 2 cubes of ice. And an example I gave recently, like the last summer I went to the U.S. and we were eating at a restaurant, catfish place, right? And the cup was like this tall. First off, the cups here also are really small. They don't give you like 8 ounces, maybe 16 ounces. In the U.S., they're giving you 42. And
Yes.
that could be 42 of water. It doesn't have to be something calorie filled.
Right.
But the glass was like this tall, and they had these large cubes of ice, and they had to drink, and then they topped it off with a small pebble ice. They had 2 different types of ice in this one drink. And this was not a designer drink. This wasn't anything special. This was the standard.
Yes.
Right? So
it's a
Americans
regular
are
drink.
in love with ice, but it's also much hotter there.
It is.
Our kids are going to suffer so much
They have no clue.
because they spent summers over here. They haven't spent a lot of time in the U.S. They'll walk outside. It's 46 degrees. Blair and I yelling them to get a jacket. Today it was 40 some degrees Fahrenheit, right? And we're like, get a jacket. It's cold. And they're like, what do you mean? It feels normal. So they are completely attuned, accustomed, acclimated. That's the right term.
Right.
They're completely acclimated to
This weather.
this weather.
Yeah.
This cooler, damper weather. But the U.S. hot, dry, dusty summer weather is they're going to wilt like little flowers. Whenever they get exposed to that again, they're going to do so bad. And they'll adjust, but yeah, they don't know.
They'll adjust. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
They don't know what's coming for them, but it's definitely coming for them. So we've covered the good, we've covered the bad. Is there any other bad that you could think of?
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Did I talk about safety already?
You did
Because
mention
it's
safety.
I did mention safety. It's such an important thing. I did talk about it at the beginning because I'm going back in my head. So good, bad, and we're not going to call it the ugly, but let's call it the unusual.
It is.
The good, the bad, and the unusual. What would you call unusual? That's really stood out as unusual to you.
So I know we talked about it a little bit, and from my side of it, I'm just looking at breakfast and breakfast items and things I think you eat at breakfast. And I still haven't figured out how to order a biscuit.
Do they have biscuits here?
I don't know. I think it's something that's so simple, but I'm not sure.
They don't have a McDonald's. So McDonald's in the U.S., the best thing to get is a sausage biscuit, which is a biscuit with a sausage on it, or a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit.
Yes.
Oh, and yeah, you know what? Their biscuits are something different here, though.
Yes.
I think it's like
biscuit is a cookie.
Biscuit is a cookie.
Yes.
But we mean actually biscuit. So not a scone,
No, because that's different too.
but a biscuit is softer.
It actually has form and
How would you define a biscuit to a culture that I don't think has biscuits?
Yeah,
And I don't mean to insult anyone. If you know what a biscuit is, drop it in the comments and kind of define what we mean by American biscuits. But we have biscuits. They're not scones because scones are harder.
scones are made differently.
They're made differently.
Scones don't rise and everything like biscuits rise. So
Yeah, they do. They're like little buns.
You
But
have
they're
to
not.
cut them out.
Yeah,
and-
but they're not a bun.
No.
But biscuits, right? That's
what I
unusual.
said.
Like,
Like, I
the
don't-
lack of biscuits.
Like, how do you order that?
I don't know how you would order biscuit here.
Like,
I remember when I went to McDonald's, I was looking for the sausage biscuits, and they don't have them.
no. We had to order English muffins.
Yeah,
No.
English muffins.
But they don't call them English muffins. They just call them muffins.
Well, of course, because you're in England.
Yeah. And so you have to remember all that when you say it, like, oh, it's just.
That would be funny. We should do that. We should go to McDonald's, go through the drive-thru and say, "Can I get an English muffin?" And they're gonna be, "What do you mean?"
They would be so mad at us.
An English muffin. We should do that in Wales or Scotland. That wouldn't go over so
There
well.
you go.
We want an English muffin, but nah, biscuits. I agree with you. I kind of miss biscuits. I guess that's a little unusual.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay with food and we'll talk about breakfast. For me, I don't understand the English breakfast with the mushroom. What does the mushroom add to it? I don't get the mushroom. It's a big one too. It's like a big. You got the.
Oh, he's talking. It depends on where you go. Some places they'll give you like a big portobello, and other places they'll give you the little sliced up mushrooms.
I'm talking the big portobello. I can accept the baked beans for breakfast, right? I still want to classify baked beans for breakfast as unusual, but I like baked beans a lot. So if you give them to me for breakfast, I will eat them because I'm a fan of baked beans. I like baked beans.
And I like mushrooms, so if you give me eggs and mushrooms, I'm gonna just eat the eggs and mushrooms and
But
never
a
say anything.
mushroom?
I'm never gonna say anything about it. So
I just don't understand the mushroom.
I'll take it.
Yeah, to me, it's unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, the English breakfast in that regard is unusual. The rest of it is fine. Like I love sausage, and on the good, I forgot to mention the good. There are 3 things here that I like. Good. We'll go back to the good. We'll come back to the unusual, but I want to go back to the good. 3 things here I like. I like the pastries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to kind of narrow that down. I love the pastries. So the pastries here are really good, but I still will say the best pastries I've ever had in my whole life were in France.
Oh yeah.
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 So, but the pastries here are that's a darn good second behind what I've had in
Strong.
France.
It's a
Yeah,
strong
strong second,
second.
right?
Yes.
So the pastries, I like the cheeses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the cheese here. Stilton burger.
Yes.
One of the most unique burgers I ever tasted was a Stilton burger. That was memorable. You'll never forget. You ever have a Stilton burger, you will never forget a Stilton burger.
Yeah.
And so the cheese, the pastries, and the ciders. And I would say that the ciders that come from this island and these isles, some of the best cider in the world to me.
Yeah.
I'm a cider guy. I'm not an ale guy. I'm not a beer person, but I love ciders, and some of the ciders here are absolutely delicious. They just crack the code on ciders.
So the kids were talking about me the other day. They pointed out, because I realized I drink a lot of carbonated apple juice.
Yeah,
Is
you do.
effectively what
You
I
do.
drink all
Yeah.
day, every day is carbonated. They're like, Mommy, what are you drinking? I'm like, it's apple juice. It has bubbles in it, but it's apple juice.
Yeah,
Yeah. We don't really do that. It's a little bit. There's like one brand that does it in the States, but
yeah. Yeah, you talking about your appetizers and the other ones? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do like those.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I like. Those are good.
Yeah.
Those are in the goods. Because, I'll admit, like the UK catches a bad rep on food, right? So, but some of the things here are pretty good. I'm falling in love with the bacon. The bacon here. I'm sorry, we're going to go down this food thing for just a moment before we get back to the unusual. The bacon here compared to the US bacon is
Yeah.
it's
It's
better.
bacon. Yeah.
It's better. It's really good. It comes out the package. It's dry. You cook it. It's really nice. So
and what is it we buy again? Is it the streaky bacon? Is
streaky
it-
bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is basically the same as the U.S. bacon, right?
Right.
But the preparation, of course, is different.
Preparation is
I think it's
different.
the one we get is like unsmoked, but it's just
I mean, unsmoked, smoked. I don't really
Yeah.
see too much difference
I don't
between
either.
the two.
But the taste is good.
I like it.
And you don't get all that
Yeah.
grease. It's not greasy
not-
and wet. Like we
Right.
open a U.S. bacon and it comes out as greasy, as oily.
Yeah.
And you open up the UK bacon and you take it out and it's not like that,
No, it's not.
you know.
So-
And so the bacon. So was that bacon cheese? So this is
Made a whole
count.
little sandwich.
Yeah, so it is. This is me count. Maybe I'm hungry. I don't know.
Probably.
But I do like those things, and I think that they're really good here. So I want to drop those in a good category. So all right, let's jump. Back to the unusual. We talked about the lack of biscuits with the mushrooms, and then the baked beans with breakfast. So anything else jumping out to you in the unusual category?
No, I'm not jumping out. I mean, well, I've purchased a lot of coats since being here. And so my coat wardrobe has definitely expanded in a lot of different ways. So, I have several raincoats at this point since it rains a lot. And I just can't get over people who still walk normally when it's raining.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So yeah, we see it all the time. We driving only. We're driving through there, and they're just walking in the rain. It's raining hard, and people are not running. They're not rushing. There's no umbrella. There's no hood. There's no hat,
the
and they're just walking in the rain.
normal pace.
Just walking in the rain. And I admit, for one of the first things we did have to learn when we moved over here was that you have to keep going. You can't wait till a clear, pretty sunny day. You have to
Right.
keep going. If it's something you want to do, if it's raining, you go.
Right.
Unless it's just thunderstorming, which
Right.
doesn't happen very often,
No.
you keep going. So I accept that you go in the rain. I accept that you go in the fog.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to call the fog unusual. That's just an element that's here.
Now I realize that the fog that we have in the States is kind of unusual
Why is that?
because it's high. So the fog here, like, to me, it sits, it settles, it's for real. It's like I'm fog. Notice
Yeah,
it.
I think a fog and it is lightweight in the
It's
U.S.
very lightweight.
It's
Unless
lightweight.
you get up early in the morning,
Yeah.
you won't see it. You won't.
Yeah, I fog. Well, at least in the areas we live. Maybe you live in the Pacific Northwest. They get
Maybe it's more over
of
there.
real fog. We get fake fog. We get faux fog.
Yeah.
Where we're from.
It just covers like the middle of the buildings.
yeah,
You
it's just
can't
kind
see
of
the middle of the
yeah.
buildings for
You're
a
right.
little bit.
It's not too expansive. I guess you're right. San Francisco has some stuff up in the hills, but it's still kind of like faux fog. You're right. Fog, the weather. So yeah, but walking in the rain. But I'll accept all the other conditions with the weather here. I do think it's weird though that it doesn't get colder. I think that's unusual. It like if you look at how far north we are, if you look at a
Yeah.
map and then look at like where we are, and then look at where northern Canada, we're on the parallel line. with extreme northern
Yeah.
Canada. So you would think it'd be just as cold here. And I know they say the
Water effect from
water, yeah. It just still, that's unusual to me
Yeah.
that it's not colder. And then I don't think it's ever gotten below 28 degrees Fahrenheit while we've been here.
but not like stayed there.
It just doesn't get that
It just-
cold.
right.
It gets cold and clammy, but it just never gets like, okay, in the U.S., we lived in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Every other winter, the temperature was -9 Fahrenheit.
Well, I think that was what it felt like.
No. It was -9. No, it don't feel like it was -9. I remember that very clearly. On several occasions, several years, it was -9. Like it was cold, -3, -4, -5. It didn't stay there very long, but it would dip down there, and we'd never get temperatures like that. Just
No,
that
we
cold.
don't. And-
Not even.
And also understand in the U.S. it does get colder farther north. Like the Dakotas get really cold. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just
Here,
not a lot of
not
snow, especially
No.
where we live.
Right.
Not a lot of snow. It doesn't get too cold. I mean, the winters are very just reasonable. Look, I'm jinxing us because we're heading into the winter. I'm jinxing us hard. But up until this point, the winters have not been just that bad. Unbearable.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been kind of bad, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the good, talked about the bad, we talked about the unusual. Anything else on unusual?
I don't think so. But let us know. Like, is there anything else? I mean, you might not think it's unusual, but it's just different, and we'd like to know.
Yeah. What do you think that may be unusual? And actually, you could give us your list too. You can give us your good. You can give us your bad. You can give us the unusual. And if you're a Brit who's been in the U.S., you could flip flop it. Yeah. Just drop down in the comments and give us. I would love reading through that to figure out and hear what you think about it. This is our take, right? This is how it's been for us. This is our experience. But every individual experience is going to be different. So I would love for you to jump in the comments to let us know. Now, to answer the final question, has it been worth it? We sold our home. I sold my truck. I had an F-250. We sold our home. I sold my truck. We sold off so many things, and we moved across the pond to a whole nother country. Has it been worth it?
I think it's still been worth it, though. I think it's been worth it to give this experience to our kids, to give this experience to ourselves, to remind us that we can do these things even when we go back to the States, that we can still travel. We're still going to be in the States, but we can still travel. And yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. When we talk about has it been worth it, I would say yes. And a lot of it I would take back to has been extensive, in my opinion, to some degree. When you think about everything that we've done, I would say yes. The amount of travel that we've done, I'll keep it with travel. The amount of traveling that we've done has been extensive all across the British Isles. And there are places we've been that I didn't even know existed. I never would have imagined going to some of them. You know, we first went to Scotland the first time because there was a lockdown and we couldn't leave the British Isles, but Scotland was open. It was never a place that I'd initially said I ever wanted to travel to.
Right.
And we went to Edinburgh and we had a wonderful time. That was our first time to Scotland. We've been back to Scotland several times since then.
And yeah, each time we've been to Scotland, it's gotten better and better. And so yeah, I couldn't imagine not having
that experience,
Yeah.
not taking those trips, not going to Wales. So, okay, real quick, what's been your favorite travel location then in the UK that you've gone to here?
I liked Anglesey.
Anglesey? Yeah, Anglesey was nice.
Yeah.
Anglesey. We got a video on Anglesey, guys. Go check that one out. Anglesey was nice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Anglesey. And a lot of it was because it was unexpected. Like I didn't even know it was an island. When we were booking the location, and I didn't realize it was a separate island until we got over there. We started going around and traveling, and Anglesey was nice. And for me, it was, and we haven't even released these videos yet, but we went to Scotland back earlier this year in the summer, late summer, and we made it to the NC 500, North Coast 500, and we did a bit of that, and we came down across the catacombs. Mm-hmm. Is that where we ended up at?
Yeah. Well, we were started in the catacombs and then came back down.
Yeah, and cutting across.
Yes.
Yeah.
We cut across the Glencoe.
Yeah, we cut across Glencoe back to the catacombs, back over towards Perth, and we cut across. That was a one of the most beautiful and impressive sights up in the Highlands in Scotland. And we were driving, it was raining.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful because the rain in this case created a multitude of waterfalls running off the mountains and hillsides. Subscribe to the channel. That video will be coming out here shortly. And I've kind of been holding on to it because the footage was so beautiful, and I've just been kind of keeping it to myself, but I will share it with you all.
Yeah.
I'll share a bit of it with you. But I had such a wonderful time. That was so beautiful to me. And so both those trips happened this year, Anglesey and that second trip back up to Scotland. But those experiences we never would have had if we hadn't moved here. We've traveled beyond here. We traveled into France. We traveled down into Africa, Namibia, South Africa. Those experiences probably wouldn't have happened if we were still living in the U.S.
States, yeah.
Back in the States.
And that's just ease of movement, ease of being able to fly to these places. A lot of, if we had done this straight from the States, I would have done a 6 to 9 hour flight to Scotland. So,
Yeah. Especially to go farther though, to go from the U.S. to say the south of Africa is an insanely long flight. 'Cause you have to fly basically first to Germany. Then from Germany down.
Yeah.
And even from here, you still fly from when we did from here to Germany down. But the flight from here to Germany down is a lot shorter than the 10 hours from the U.S. to Germany.
Yes.
It's just a lot easier, and actually, honestly, it's a bit cheaper as well to travel from this location into those other locations. So yeah, I would definitely say it has been worth it. And then we got our twins over here because we didn't have the twins when we came here, and we have our twins. Our family is much larger than when we came, and so
Yes.
that has been a joy. And you know, you can't go back and say, well, we had the twins in the U.S. as well. Probably, I don't know, but I do know we did have them here, and so the UK has always have a special place in my heart. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying we're going anywhere because I think maybe this is starting to sound like we're about to say, well, we're leaving tomorrow. We're not.
No.
That's not the plan. And if we do, it's not by choice. That's not the plan. We're not saying that we're planning to leave anytime soon, but we do want to kind of recap what it's been like being here for 4 years, because that's just something that is so unusual for us to be able to pull this off and have this experience. It was unanticipated. If you asked me 10, 15 years ago, would I be here? I would not say that ever would have been an imagination of mine that it could have been possible. This has been a wonderful experience, and I hope that it keeps going on for a while. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think
So-
that was it.
That's it?
Yeah.
So hey, be sure to like and subscribe. Drop down in the comments. Tell us what you liked about this video. What's the good, the bad, and the unusual? If you've been to the US, give us that. And if you're British, and what do you like about your country? What do you think is bad? And what do you find to be unusual? Because even in your own culture, there's some things that you may be thinking is unusual or a little different. Let us know. I would love to read those comments. And if you like this, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time.
Take care.